Okay, welcome. I'm Eric Jones, Police Chief for the City of Stockton, and the purpose of today's press conference is to update the public and community on the investigation and new information and to discuss where things go from here. This is preliminary information as the overall investigations will take some time. But I have a duty and a responsibility as a community leader and as the police chief to provide some additional information today. Our preliminary information confirms what was suspected from the outset, that Misty Holt-Singh died from gunshots fired by police officers as they confronted the bank robbers who used her as a human shield. I again express my condolences to the Misty Singh family, and my thoughts go out to all others involved during the July 16th incident. Every member of our department is deeply saddened that this event ended with the tragic death of an innocent victim, and every one of us wishes this tragedy had ended differently. Because of this incident, begun by the armed assailants with no regard for human life, it threw Stockton off balance, off our feet. But we regain our stance and move forward as a community working together to combat crime and make for a safer place for all. It was a little over 3 weeks ago that 4 suspects committed an atrocious crime. One perpetrator drove the 3 others, heavily armed, to the Bank of the West on Thornton Road, where the unthinkable occurred. The 3 assailants committed a forceful takeover robbery, violently took 3 civilian hostages, shooting one only minutes into the overall event, and then began a vehicle pursuit while all the while firing a high-powered assault rifle at police. This was during busy daytime hours on busy freeways and busy city streets. Constant gunfire came from the assailants during the 61-minute and 55-mile incident, covering 2 cities and freeways and streets between them. And 14 police vehicles were struck by the assailants' bullets. Many people and unknowing bystanders were in constant peril. There were many other potential victims. During the chase, many police vehicles were involved, but this was not a vehicle pursuit. It was much more than that, more than we've ever experienced. It was a rolling active shooter incident, constantly putting the public and officers in danger without knowing where it would conclude or how, nor how many scenes there would be or how many locations would be potentially taken over by the suspects. We had tactical officers, medics, containment units, hostage negotiators, etc., for the continually moving critical scene. We know the assailants fired over 100 bullets during the incident. We know the assailants were not even halfway through their ammo supply by the time the incident ceased and the assailants were stopped. They had about 200 unexpended and unfired rounds, bullets, still in the vehicle. Unfortunately, very unfortunately, one of the 3 hostages was killed that day based on the root cause of the armed assailants' atrocious crime and behavior. As has been noted before, we believe July 16, 2014 brought dynamics never before seen in law enforcement. We wanted, but never had the opportunity for hostage negotiations. The assailants were violent and attempted killing officers very early on. They also harmed a hostage very early on. And then a barrage of gunfire from them continued. The violent ongoing incident was never contained like most situations in law enforcement. This was more similar to a continual active shooter situation than anything else. Even when the officers backed off so far to where they unfortunately lost sight of them for a time, the assailants set up for an attempt fatal ambush on officers instead of just trying to get away. To say the dynamics here were unique is an understatement. The scene was never static, never contained. The armored vehicle was disabled after being shot numerous times, and when the tire was disabled due to that particular vehicle not being designed for pursuits. There was a continual attempt to kill the officers, and we had concerns that they would take over another location or multiple locations, including a business or schools. The assailants' fire was also indiscriminate, putting the entire community at risk. And the bravery and courage shown by the Stockton Police Department staff cannot be overlooked. The officers did not waver from entering danger. They proceeded on, even while under fire. Shooting and stopping the assailants was unavoidable. To the extent that exactly played out is and will be reviewed. That's what we do in law enforcement. We review and evaluate always. The investigation is ongoing, and we are still researching and analyzing violent confrontations. But again, this appears to have dynamics seen nowhere before in recent law enforcement history. We don't want to be the example for this dynamic, but we are. And we and all of law enforcement hope to learn from it. Regarding the fourth perpetrator involved in this incident, we have been getting tips, but we still need someone to come forward with actionable information. Please remember, there is a $50,000 reward. We need this community to step forward. We know people are out there who know the information that we need. I will now go into today's additional information that I'm releasing. I said earlier we have preliminary ballistic reports. Regarding Misty Holt-Singh, we know the family had questions, the community had questions, and the police department had questions. So this preliminary portion of the investigation is being revealed. Final reports will not be ready for some time. Preliminary investigation indicates that the fatal gunshot wound or wounds for her came from Stockton police officers' firearms. As I said earlier, the assailants fired over 100 bullets during this incident and had approximately 200 bullets remaining that they had not fired yet. They were prepared to continue their assault on law enforcement and anyone else who got in their way with those over 200 additional bullets. During the entire incident, Stockton Police Department officers fired approximately 600 bullets. This was 33 police officers at different points throughout this one-hour event. Early indications of the investigation also show Misty Holt-Singh was shot about 10 times. That is consistent with the cowardice act by the surviving and uninjured assailant as using her as a shield. Regarding the ballistics from the assailant's weapons, we have information on the AK-47, the primary assault weapon used among the 3 other handguns that the assailants also used during this incident. Preliminary reports show that the AK-47 assault rifle was possibly used in multiple gang-related shootings over the past few years, one being a gang-related homicide. There are active investigations with the FBI, the protocol team, and an outside review of tactics, policies, and procedures that can assist us and all of law enforcement. There is an FBI joint investigation regarding the bank robbery and the assailant's specific crimes. There is a county-wide protocol investigation led by the district attorney. And there will also be an external review of tactics and procedures by a team of outside law enforcement experts. Again, shooting and stopping the heavily armed assailants was unavoidable. To the extent that exactly played out is and will be reviewed. The review will be thorough and open. We are looking at things such as communication and fire control. With over 15,000 law enforcement agencies in the United States, none in recent history seeing what we experienced July 16th, and God forbid one of them experience something like this, we want to be transparent and look at best practices for all of us in law enforcement. Although we probably saved more lives and more hostages from being taken, for all persons involved, and in honor of Misty Holt-Singh, we will examine and re-examine July 16th to look for best practices, protocols, procedures, tactics, and potential training. The investigation is going to go where the investigation takes it. It will be thorough and complete. The review will be for Stockton Police Department, but also to benefit law enforcement everywhere. Law enforcement work is dangerous. I want to point out that our community's Stockton police officers took a barrage of bullets, but they kept going. They remained courageous and brave and put their lives at risk. I am so grateful for that kind of courage. I have no doubt that the assailants, if not stopped, would have caused even far more violence. I'm also proud of our police dispatchers who held poise under great stress. But this was an unspeakable human tragedy. Our department, our officers have had difficulty with this situation as well, and we all understand the gravity. No one else, more than the Stockton Police Department, wants all of the information and details as we look at this. On July 16th, Misty Holt-Singh went to the bank and did not get to come home. I have met with her husband, Paul, and other family, and my deep condolences and thoughts are still with them. My thoughts will always be with them. It is important to all of law enforcement and the Stockton community that we capture all involved people in this horrible and tragic incident. Please remember there is a reward, and we need the community's help capturing the fourth perpetrator involved in this tragedy. My personal belief is that the assailants were intent on killing people, definitely police officers on that day. And whether to stop them or not was not an option. They had to be stopped. We witnessed that date 3 types of incidents all layered into one. It was a group of events that just don't happen in real life as we knew it before that date. And finally, it is so very important to investigate this incident fully, for your police department to be transparent about it, and to move forward as a community.